You all know how I like to tell stories about my art. Well, this is a story about a World War II soldier who suffered from epilepsy. It's about our brains, and I think it's about our intuition. We all know that the brain has two parts, the right and the left. We often hear about how I'm left-brained because I'm creative or some shit. Or I'm right-brained because blah blah blah. Really, that's all crap. Now, I don't mean that I'm being skeptical, I mean that science has said it's bullshit. Ages ago, some person in the media read an article they didn't understand, and then made up this story about being right-brained or left-brained, and it ended up spreading like wildfire. Okay, I'm sure you're wondering what I'm on about. I'm painting something that seemingly has nothing to do with brains. Well, I started this painting as part of my other channel, and on that channel, Making Art for the Heart, we're exploring the elements of art, and we're following our intuition to create new pieces that really capture a part of our souls. This is what brings me to the right brain versus left brain discussion. The true part of that rumor is that each half of your brain is responsible for different things. For instance, your left hemisphere is responsible for language. But did you know that your right brain controls your left side, and vice versa? Okay, right now, wiggle your right fingers and right toes at the same time. That's the left half of your brain. Okay, now, wiggle your left fingers and left toes. That's your right brain. Both halves of your brain communicate using a wire called the corpus callosum, which joins the two halves. I'm adding some grass to my painting. I really want you to feel like the forest has depth, so you can let yourself fall in. Sorry, I just really like that part, and it's really important to my painting. Anyway, back to my story. During World War II, a man named William Jenkins was hit in the head with the butt of a German officer's rifle, and years later had still been suffering seizures. In that time when we were first learning about brains, we discovered that if we cut the wire between the right and left brain, we could treat epilepsy. I know, what does this have to do with painting? Well, keep your knickers on. Those epilepsy patients found their suffering relieved by splitting their brains, but noticed some strange things happening instead. For instance, William would go out to pick his clothes for the morning, and while the right hand reached for one shirt, his left hand disagreed and picked another shirt. I'm not even pulling your leg, this is a real study, and you can watch someone else's video on this, click the card in the corner, and I've also linked to some articles in the description. You see, William's left brain was seeing a different image than his right brain, and they were not in agreement as to which shirt was the right one to wear, because the two sides of the brain couldn't communicate with each other. In fact, the two sides disagreed quite a lot. Here I'm adding some highlights to my whale. I'm painting the whale gold, and when you're painting something gold, you really need to actually start from a dark color, which I didn't anticipate, but I think that it kind of helps sell the image. Anyway, sorry. It didn't stop with the shirts. If William was shown a picture to his left side, he would not be able to verbally reply as to what he saw, because his left side, controlled by his right brain, does not have the ability to speak. That's the left brain's job. Another person, a teenage boy who also had a split brain, was asked to name his girlfriend, but only to his left side. So the right brain, unable to speak, spelled out her name with Scrabble tiles. What? How is this even possible? Is this a horror story? No, I promise I have a point. You see, whenever I do these intuitive paintings, I find something new out about myself, and I now have a hypothesis as to why. Not only could the two sides of the brain operate so differently, when asked for their favorite color, they could reply with two different responses. They even asked the left side to pick up something like a Rubik's Cube, and then, when asked why it's holding the cube, the right brain could not reply as to why. But the left brain, seeing the cube, would instead make up a story, like, well, I've always wanted to learn how to solve one of these. The left brain helpfully fills in the story. They found that the silent right brain seemed to have its own intelligence, consciousness, something. It's kind of mind-blowing. It suggests the possibility of there being two separate things inside the same skull. Why did you paint that whale, Erin? Well, I don't know, because whales are awesome? Because I've always wanted to paint one? What does this even mean? Who am I? Am I a right brain or a left brain? Well, you're actually both. You're two halves working together to create a completely unique person. And whenever I paint like this, intuitively, I try to empty my mind and let things just happen. I pick colors by feelings and I paint with impulses. I let my mind run free to see patterns and new ideas that I'd never come up with otherwise. I listen to my heart and I trust what it says. After I finished my painting and I tell someone about it or post it on Facebook, I ask myself, why did I paint this? What does this mean? And why are there whales floating in a forest with fish? I find my left brain more than happy to fill the pieces in for me. The jewel-like colors always make me think of riches, rare and precious gems. The light creates a really magical feel. Meanwhile, unlikely creatures fly in an unlikely place. This is a unique world, and in this world not only can you fly, but you can fly in more than one way. Would you like to be swift and agile like the swallow, or succumb to the peaceful, soft pulse of the jellyfish? The whale looks like it should sink to the ground under the weight of its size and the fact that it is gold. Yet it soars with the sparrows. Even the seaweed, unbound by the natural laws of gravity, can dance like the northern lights across the forest floor. The placement of the creatures has a natural flow to it, as if you can feel the current carrying them along. You feel like you could step in there and float with everyone else and get swept away by the magic of the world. I want to step inside. I want to be swept away with magic. I want to fly in a million different ways. What other animals could we encounter in this world? Are all of the whales golden? How big is the forest? I wonder if it isn't my right brain, finally able to speak, that picks up the paintbrush and creates a magical world for my left brain to enjoy. When I say I'm listening to my heart, am I actually just listening to the silent and quirky part of my brain? Either way, each time I paint something like this, I feel like I discover something new. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching. I hope that you really enjoyed that. And if you would like to join me this week, I'm going to do a My Drunk Painting on my Patreon, so make sure you head on over there and check that out. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye!